Hello and welcome along to another episode of Robin and Jane in the Stalls. Why am I dressed like this with my dickie on today? Well, for a very special reason. You can probably guess that we've been to the Lyric Theatre here in Belfast earlier on this week to catch the Importance of Being Earnest. We should, Jane, really have a plate of cucumber sandwiches and some muffins here beside us as well, shouldn't we?
We certainly should. We enter a world, really, of idle rich young men, dragon aunts, butlers, and disparaging remarks about marriage. There's a very nice one from Algernon early on where he said, "Is marriage so demoralizing to Lane the butler, who's told him that wedded establishments serve cheap champagne?" So he's unhappy about that. Yes, it is a world of cucumber sandwiches, but that is not all it is. It is also a world of deception, of subterfuge, of course, of a happy ending. I mean, it's interesting that Jimmy Fay at the Lyric has done something so different with it, because I think the story is quite well known. So what do? You go for something different. And he's gone for style, different styles, multi-faceted styles. There's Monty Python in there. You get a dollop of Gilbert and Sullivan. You get all kinds of things, a psychedelic trip. And Gwendolyn has a thing to say about style. She says, it matters of great importance. Style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. And I think we've got the vital thing here.
And exactly, it's the cleverness of Oscar Wilde's writing, which actually, when you think about it, this play is set during the Victorian era. It's still relevant today, and it's still easy to follow this show, isn't it?
It is still easy to follow this show. And the zingers, the aphorisms, keep coming about marriage, about life, about Bunbury, of course. The character that Algernon has devised so that when he wants to go into the country and escape the rigours of town, he can visit this invalid who, of course, doesn't exist. There is a lot going on, but I think it was well done overall. Do you?
Definitely, and the thing that I was talking about this earlier on today that surprised me the most was the Monty Python stuff that was put into it as well, especially the animations that were put up on the big screen. These were done by a guy called Neil O'Driscoll, and you would think this was done by Terry Gilliam. They were absolutely brilliant, weren't they?
They were absolutely brilliant. And I liked Algernon's trip. I mean, we saw him trying out the hooker in the first, smoking away in the first scene. So this was no surprise. But you could almost imagine from Monty Python that great foot descending and the rude noise, because there is a kind of raspberry to Victorian stuffiness and hypocrisy. I mean, marriage is a business matter. It's a transaction, nothing to do with emotions. And Lady Bracknell, and my goodness, wasn't Alison Harding absolutely superb here? She has a little note, a little black book of eligible men for her daughter Gwendolyn, and she goes through and it has what property they have, because of course it's all about money, really. It isn't about the heart, it's about the head, and that is also hypocritical, really.
And of course, Lady Bracknell does have the famous line that we're all sitting in anticipation, waiting to hear how is she going to deliver the handbag line. And she did it kind of differently. She wasn't Edith Evans. She wasn't David Suchet, who I've seen do it before.
Maybe a bit more Judi Dench. I mean, she just asked it as a genuine question. She gave the handbag full Edith Evans tone to the word frown, which came earlier. So we got kind of anticipation. But no, she did it afresh. And what was good about this whole production is that it's fresh, it's new, it's kind of psychedelic. And in a way, it's looking forward to an age of modernity when all these stuffy values will be swept away.
The other thing I loved about Alison's performance of Lady Bracknell was the way she was wielding that stick around the stage as well. You just knew when she came in with the stick, this is a woman you're not going to mess with.
No, she certainly wasn't a woman to mess with. She was like one of, as I say, Woodhouse's aren't gentlemen, and you wonder about the influence there. She was formidable and yet believable and not totally unlikable. I mean, because she's so funny.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other characters as well. Another standout performance for me was Megan Tyler as Gwendolyn. I thought she was just amazing.
Yes, she was. Now, something that Mr. Fay did, which I thought was interesting, was that so that the women are not ciphers merely in this marriage game. He exaggerated them quite a lot. Now, for my taste, if I'm honest, I would have taken 10% off because I felt they were so exaggerated at times. They almost descended into a slight amount of caricature. But having said that, Gwendolen throwing herself onto the sofa in a fit of passion, doing other things in fits of pique, was really something to behold. And Cecily also was a bit of a number. She skipped around wearing this enormous bow in her hair, a bit like the fashion of last year. And I think, and I hope I've got this name right, that Calla Hughes Mackay was absolutely brilliant too.
As were the two guys, Jack and Algernon as well, played by Adam Gillan and Conor O'Donnell. I thought both of them played the part really, really well.
I thought they did. Adam Gilliam was very good, and one wondered after his previous outing as Romeo, but he was. He was in love more demurely than Gwendolen. Well, everybody would be in love more demurely than Gwendolen, frankly, on this showing. And he did it very well, the tentativeness, because he knows what's going to emerge about his antecedents. I think that was very good. And yes, Conor O'Donnell was absolutely a revelation. I loved him in the country scene, and the country scene, everything came alive. I mean, I felt parts of the first act were a little bit slow, but in the country, everything zipped along. And he was a wonderful Lothario in sunglasses and pink jacket. No, he was a sight to behold. And he got everything. He was the right side of camp. Nearly there, but not quite.
It was, and we even got a song this time as round. We got The Man Who Broke the Bank in Monte Carlo was thrown in. I thought that was brilliant.
It was brilliant. And a la Panto, we actually sang along too. And there is apparently a link. We got this Gilbert and Sullivan, we got the Master of the King's or the Queen's Navy and Three Little Girls. And apparently there is a stage direction where Wilde actually puts that, I think it's Algy, not Jack, has to whistle something from one of the Savoy operas. So there is a kind of connection and a justification, but you don't need any justification for this because it was just fabulous. It ticked every box really, and it made you think anew about a play with which some of us might have been slightly familiar.
Exactly. Now, I must also mention Marty Maguire and Joe Donnelly, our favourite theatrical couple, who again were just brilliant as the Canon Chasuble and Miss Prism as well. And Miss Prism, it was a slightly different Miss Prism. I love the boots.
Yes, I love the boots. She was very stern, very masculine, Miss Prism, actually. She would take no nonsense either. And it was hard to believe at the beginning that she'd written a 3-volume romantic novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality, as Lady Bracknell has it. You know, I mean, that was quite hard to believe. But except she melted with in front of Canon Chasuble deliciously.
We got to mention as well the costumes, which were just stunning and colourful and vibrant, and Stuart Marshall's set design as well, I thought worked very well for this production.
It worked extremely well, and it had this kind of surface colour, a lot of sherbet colours in this, again, a little bit psychedelic and making you wonder which world you're in and which world you're going to. And that's important because there's a real journey in this play towards the ending when sincerity is all finally. The style has led us there, strangely, in spite of its importance. And Bunbury is going to be killed off. And we hope that they're going to have happy married lives, but who knows?
So time now for us to give our final thoughts on the importance of being earnest. Of course, as we all know, it's a show that we all know the story of. We've seen it probably 2 or 3 times before in our lives, but I'm glad this new production, thanks to Jimmy Fay, brought a kind of new lease of life to the show as well. And I think we'll bring a new audience to it as well. And we've seen already that it's also been extended for an extra week, so it's going to run right through until the 6th of July now as well. So time for us to make up our mind. We're voting, of course, with the handbags on the show this week. So Jane, how many little handbags are we going to give the importance of being earnest?
Oh, I think 4 handbags, definitely.
Well, you know, because of the witty one-liners, because I found some scenes hilarious. It's a wonderfully brilliant camp night out. And Jane, I'm going to go for the big one today. I'm going to pull out 5 little handbags.
5 handbags? Well, I never. Brilliant.
Trust me, it is worthwhile going to see. So The Importance of Being Earnest, it runs at the Lyric Theatre right through until the 6th of July. We, of course, got a sneak preview backstage before the opening night on Wednesday. And before that, Jane, we were all treated to afternoon tea. And I have to mention the fabulous Harrison Hotel and the lovely Melanie Harrison for her hospitality during the afternoon as well. And for people who don't know, the Harrison is a beautiful boutique hotel just off the Malone Road, I think it is. And they actually have an Oscar Wilde room, which we were in.
Yes, they do. It's right up in the attic because it's a reference to the picture of Dorian Gray. And of course, very centrally in this room is a mirror so that you can glance at yourself and see whether you're aging or getting younger and how you look. So that seems very appropriate. But we had a magnificent spread with indeed cucumber sandwiches.
And they were very good. I haven't had cucumber sandwiches in a long time.
No, neither have I, and some wonderful scones and strawberries.
So there we go. That's it for another episode of Robin and Jane in the Stalls. Congratulations to all the cast and all the crew of The Importance of Being Earnest. And we'll see you back in the stalls sometime very soon.
Bye.